Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today we're gonna watch the full Jimi Hendrix interview from Meatball Fulton, aka Thomas Lopez. In the very first video that I had posted, I had only found part 1 and part 3. So we're gonna watch the whole thing. We had agreed to do that, so we're gonna do that, and yeah, I hope you enjoy. I love the Jimi Hendrix interviews. I think I'm going to get into a lot more of them. And if you're having issues with seeing the captions, you can always turn on the captions on my video. You'll be fine. It'll be okay. It'll be fine. Let's go. I really enjoyed this beginning part of this interview when I first heard it, so I'm excited to hear the parts that I missed. Therefore and thereafter. The second or two, he's funny.
An interview with Jimi Hendrix. It was done in London about 2 weeks after his second.
Okay.
This is an interview with Jimi Hendrix. It was done in London about 2 weeks after his second album was released. I'm going to make some comments about my impressions of Hendrix and point out some things to look for when you listen to this interview. It's a good interview.
It really is.
When I met Jimi Hendrix, my first impression was his presence was so strong. It was sort of like stepping into a field of electricity. And I don't know if it's because of the giant amps that he was working with or just being a superstar and having all that energy directed at you, you know. But I wish there had been a way that this tape could have captured some of that vibrancy that I felt at that moment. I did this interview mainly because I wanted to meet him, and I honestly did not have one question ready. I figured that, you know, when the time came, I'd open my mouth and sort of a question would come out. We've all heard interviews where the interviewer is so involved lining up the next question that...
Like commentators like myself that are so involved that they need to pause the video to say something. But as I had said it before, I really admire Thomas Lopez so much with his style, how he speaks. I think he makes this interview great. Not just the fact that Jimi Hendrix is on this, but also because he's on it. And I find it so interesting what he says about the electricity. I completely believe him. Like, just like through Jimmy's music alone, I feel this presence that is hard to describe. It's kind of crazy.
He or she doesn't hear what the person's trying to say. Well, I didn't have a next question. I just listened to what he was saying. And what he was saying led to the next question. And he was so sensitive, as you'll hear. He could see me listening, and he really opened up.
You really hate these interviews.
Oh no, well, it's all right, you know. It's all right.
I mean, you do have a lot, you know.
Pardon?
A lot of people bothering you about interviews.
Well, like, yeah, to tell the truth, yeah, there is a lot, you know, but it's all right, though, you know, like, sometimes you just feel like talking, sometimes you don't, though, you know.
Yeah.
Just go in different moods.
Okay, so some of the usual...
Yeah,
go ahead.
That's all right. No, it doesn't bother me at all. I just want to get this light for a second. Yeah.
You're originally from Buffalo, and you've been here about...
No, not from Buffalo. No, I'm from Seattle, Washington, originally.
Wow,
But I used to live... I lived all over the States, though. And then I wound up in New York, not too long ago.
Yeah.
But I lived all over the States. I stayed in Buffalo for about a month or two, and it was too cold up there.
Well, yeah, but if you were in
Seattle... Was he laughing?
Cold.
Oh. It's nice to catch those little things.
Yeah. But I lived all over the States. I stayed in Buffalo for about a month or two, and it was too cold up there.
Well, yeah, but if you were in Seattle, you know, it can't be any colder in Buffalo.
No, but Seattle has a different type of cold, though, you know. It's a different it's a nice coldness, you know.
Yeah.
It isn't so cutting as Buffalo. Anyway, there's this girl, they're trying to work roots on me. Work this voodoo stuff, keep me there, you know. I had to go to the hospital.
Voodoo stuff.
But I could make that scene.
What do you mean you had to go to the hospital?
Well, like, you know, she tried working roots. You know, that's a scene like they might put as, you know, there's different things they can do. They can put something in your food or either put some hair in your shoe, you know, some of the hair in your shoe.
Oh,
Voodoo stuff, yeah.
Mojo.
Yeah, and all that kind of stuff, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Well, she tried that, and I don't know. She must have tried it half-heartedly because I was just only sick in the hospital for about 2 or 3 days.
So somebody had asked me to comment on this in the comment section because they picked up that I was Caribbean and I am from Jamaica. And yes, we do know a thing or two about obia. That's what we call it. We don't call it voodoo. We call it obia. And you know, there are a lot of like stories that float around about obia and how it works and what people can do to you and what they can put in your food. For example, one of the popular things that they'll do is they can tie a man, tied man. I don't know if that's what she was doing with working roots on him, if she was trying to trap him, but that's what you do. Like if you want to tie a man, you can. Well, I don't know exactly how it going. You know, it's a story. I'm telling you. You can mix things into the man's food. And of course, they tie women too, just to kind of keep that person, you know, committed and trapped to you in this relationship. They want to leave you and they don't understand why they can't leave you. They're just very, you know, indecisive and things. And they do that with people, like people who are bad mind, and bad mind means envious or jealous. And those people will also work obia or voodoo on you to try to keep you trapped or keep you down in life. And so, yeah, that's familiar to me. I've never like seen even an obia man before. That's what we call them, obia man. Not voodoo man or voodoo priestess. We call them obia man. I've never seen an obia man before, but I have like images of what they look like. But in terms of my personal opinions on these things, you know, I don't want it to work against me, so I choose not to believe in it. But I mean, if you believe in those things, they say like belief gives power to things. So if you believe something is possible, it can work against you. Obviously, I think, you know, I think there's a story that you guys were telling me about how some voodoo person had told Jimmy's mom something about him, about who he was going to be or something. So that's another thing. Like there's a lot of like, it seems like he has like a quite a connection to these things, and I'm curious to know like what his experience really was with it beyond just like this, and you know what gave him that much confidence regarding the conversation and to know she wasn't doing a good enough job. Really interesting. Let's keep on going.
Do you ever get involved in that scene other than?
Not anymore. Really, you know, like around in the southern United States, you know, they have a lot of scenes like that going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But just you know, if I see it happen or if I feel it happen, then I believe it.
Yeah.
You know, but not necessarily if I just hear it being talked about.
Mm-hmm.
What about charms and things like this? You know.
Oh yeah,
the way-
if a person, you know, a person they give off certain many, you know, electric shocks anyway,
Right,
really.
yeah, energies.
Yeah, and so then if they can actually get these things together, really. You know, if the vibrations are strong enough to get these charms working, you know, they can actually do it.
I was watching it when you
Interesting.
were talking to this girl.
Yeah, so in terms of like the charms that he's talking about, that's also a thing that I've heard a lot of. And so like in my culture, it's not just like the charms, it's more like people, well, it is the charms. Like they'll get things from the obia man, from the voodoo priestess or priest to protect them. So they'll get like things like to put in their back pocket, or they'll be instructed on rituals that they should perform, which is meant to like protect them from evil. And a lot of people who are involved in violence, like, you know, gunmen is what we call them, they like there's a lot of like stories going around about how these people will like kill chickens and do all these different things as a way of trying to protect themselves from dying. So yeah, there you have it. I hope you're satisfied with my answer for that, to the person who asked. And I hope you all found that like helpful or insightful. I don't know.
Lola came in. I think she sent you some clothes for you.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, that was very nice because you were really watching her and you were really taking her in. I mean, take her in, and I mean just like sizing up.
Yeah, she seemed like a nice girl. I like to take her home and, you know, scrub her up a little bit, and then, you know, go into the scene, and then get the clothes measured up maybe. Oh, that's right. Yeah, she's supposed to come over there for that. But see, I don't go by, you know, like some girls, you don't go by appearance. You go by different. There's other things that girls have to offer besides their looks, you know, that makes you might want to be with them, you know, for a second or
For
two.
a second or two.
You know, I mean, well, there's other things, you know, besides that.
Oh my God, he's so funny for that. He's like, you know, nothing like you know, maybe not a long-term relationship, but you know, a second or two. So interesting. He said I'm gonna take her home and scrub her up and put her in, you know, get in the scene. What does he mean? He has such an interesting way of talking. Like clearly he's like, you know, a sexual person, but I think he's very like shy about it. Well, in this, he comes across as being shy about it. Perhaps it's because it's an interview, but he's not very vulgar when he talks about these things. He tries his best to like choose his words carefully, and it doesn't come across to me as like objectifying them or anything like that. Like he's just being like very sincere in terms of how he's feeling, and that's interesting. It's interesting to see these sides of him and to see his approach to these kinds of conversations. But yeah, let's keep on going.
For a second or two.
Yeah.
I mean, well, there's other things, besides that.
She's lovely.
I don't just go by this look, because we know the story. Some of them some of the worst people in the world. But you go by other things. I don't know what it is. You can just feel little things. Say, damn, I might want to be with her. I don't know. Let me check myself there. See what happens. It's great.
What about this? I mean, I mentioned, needless to say, a lot of people are envious, me included.
Not necessarily, really.
Yeah.
Well, you should, because if you're not used to it, well, it could kill you, really. Really, but it's just another way of communication. That's why other people can't understand and say, "Well, damn, why are you with so many people?" But I said, "Well, I don't necessarily be, touching those people all the time. I just be talking to them. Some I talk to, and then others." They're
in thereafter.
And thereafter. This is a scene like if it's part of you, this is nature. I don't know. I just can't help it. That's all.
He said, you can't, like, if you're not used to it, you can't get in too deep because it'll hurt you. You know what I'm saying? You can't. And them call that a gallus. You can't try to be a gallus or a womanizer. That's not for everybody. So you have to take your time, but for him, it's natural, it's nature, it's normal. And he doesn't sleep with all of them. Oh boy, Jimmy.
It's a scene like that's another way of communication though. You have your own ways, Some people just communicate better by, by not even knowing each other's name, by saying, "Hey, hi, how you doing there? Would you come with me there for a minute?" And then, it's all, and you do that. And you can be the best of friends then.
Yeah.
Some even get married after that.
Have to find it just sort of flow with it when you start to get this, this image, which, as you...
Oh, it was worse before, because I used to be on the block starving, and girls used to help me and all that, Girls are some of my best friends, because they used to help me, and really help me, too. And I really, ever since then...
I wonder what's the story with that, about him being on the block and starving. Like, was he homeless at some point or something? What happened? Do we need to do like a deep dive into that part of his life? Because why was he starving on the block?
And really helped me, too. And I really, ever since then, that's why I say to myself, well, any girl I meet now, I'm going to try to show her my appreciation for what they did for me before. No, serious though. It's just, I don't know, it's just nature.
In this section, we talk about his second album. He was really unhappy about it. This section is an interesting document, I guess you could call it, of the kinds of frustrations that Hendrix went through. That is, the artist, Jimi Hendrix, talking about what he's trying to do, create, and how he's being frustrated by those that were managing him at that time, what they wanted him to do and to be. I hope you'll listen closely to this part, because there's something really bizarre happening between Hendrix and myself. Hendrix was so unhappy about the new album that had just come out. He was trying to express his frustrations to me. You'll hear him sort of sputtering out of sheer frustration. But I felt at that time that what he was saying was so personal, so revealing that it shouldn't be on tape. He had obviously been hurt. And so what he was trying to tell me was really private stuff, not for the public. And at that time, I didn't have the sense to turn off the tape machine and set the mic down and say, okay, let's talk about it. Instead, what you hear is Hendrix trying to tell me about these frustrations of his, and I'm trying to get him not to tell me. My questions are trying to steer him away from it. But everything he talks about brings him right back to it again. Listen to the sound of his voice. He was incredibly open about himself.
So I just want to stop here and comment again on Thomas Lopez. The average interviewer wants to lean into your vulnerabilities. They want to exploit your vulnerabilities. They want you to keep on talking. They'll realize that you're being vulnerable and pounce on that vulnerability and say more and more and more. Oh my God, this is gonna make an epic, interview. It's gonna, like, everybody's gonna know, that I was the one who got this out of him. And I just find his humanity so interesting. The fact that he can be a human being while talking to another human being and respect that person is interesting to me. Now, I'm curious as to, like, why he felt like he wanted to include it on this record. Like, was it a case where he was like, this is another part of Jimi Hendrix, so we should know that it is there and that it exists. But I wonder also, like, why was it, like, aside from, like, Thomas doing such a great job with this interview, was it a case where he didn't feel like he had a lot of people that he could talk to about things like this, like people he could be open and vulnerable with? Was he needing to talk about it with another person who was intelligent and receptive and willing to hear him out? I don't know. How often did he talk about this with the people around him? How deep did those relationships go? So many questions.
I really don't care what our records as far as chart-wise. We had this one that only made number 11, It was named The Burning of the Midnight Lamp, which everybody around here hated. They said that was the worst record, But to me, that was the best one we ever made. Not far as recording, because the recording technique was really bad. You couldn't hear the words so good. Probably that's what it was.
Yeah, are you satisfied with the recording technique
No,
generally?
not at all.
No. What about on the LP? Same thing?
Not at all. Worse even on the LPs. It makes me so mad. Because, see, that's part of us.
Yeah.
And, like we recorded and everything, and then all of a sudden something happens, and it just comes out all screwed up. You just get so mad. You just don't want to know about it anymore. Like our next LP, every track is going to have to be right, or else I'm just, just going to forget about it. I mean, well, not forget about it. That's the way you say that,
right,
but you're not.
Yeah.
But that's the way I feel.
Do you think they're better in the States as far as recording? Or
I don't know.
it really depends upon the engineer?
Well, like, it depends on
what is it about Jimi Hendrix that like carries such emotional weight? Like, why do I feel that's so weird? Like, it's making me so sad and, like, so upset. Yes, he's communicating something sad, and I've heard people communicate sad things before, but I don't know why it's making me feel like upset, like really upset, like tense, like really tense. Could it be that I just care, or is it like, is something else going on?
That's the way I feel.
Do you think they're better in the States as far as recording? Or
I don't know.
it really depends upon the engineer?
Well, like, it depends on what you want. Really, all depends on where you go to. It really depends on so many things. The cutting of it. Excuse me. The cutting of it depends on the whole. That's the whole scene. You can get in there and mix and mix and mix and get such a beautiful sound, and when it's time to cut it, they can just screw it up so bad.
I don't understand.
I know. I wouldn't understand that either, because it comes out all bad. Because they go by levels and all that. Some people don't have imagination. See, when you cut a record, right before it's being printed, when you cut the master, that, if you want a sound where you can, really deep sound, where you have depth and all this, you must almost remix it again right there, the cutting place. And 99% don't even do this. They just go and say, oh yeah, turn it up there, make sure that it doesn't go over there, make sure it doesn't go under, There it is. It's nothing but one-dimensional.
You get the time that you need. I mean, because it's so costly anyway.
We did
to be in these studios.
The money doesn't make any difference to me.
Yeah,
because that's what I make the money for, is to make better things, happen. I don't have no value of money at all. That's my only fault, because I just get the things that I see and want, or you try to put it into music. I want to have a stereo where it goes up, the sound goes up and behind and underneath, But all you can get now is just a cross and a cross.
Yeah.
Our new LP was made in 16 days, which I'm very sad about,
The one that's just out
Yeah.
recently, Really.
But no use even talk about, discussing why, because it really is a bad scene. But Just makes me mad, though. It could have been so much better.
It's mainly the sound quality.
Well, the songs could have been better too. You know, that's what I think, though. As soon as they finish, then you got a completely new ideas. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, right. Well, it's good. I mean, in a sense, because your mind's moving along, purring along nicely. Yeah.
Completely new ideas. Just makes me mad, though. It could have been so much better.
It's mainly the sound quality.
Well, the songs could have been better too. You know, that's what I think, though. As soon as they finish, then you got a completely new ideas. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, right. Well, it's good. I mean, in a sense, because your mind's moving along, purring along nicely. Yeah.
So what's interesting to me about like what he's saying here is like he's clearly like he cares about his music really like deeply. Like he really cares about his music. He's not just in it for like, let me make my music, make these records, sell a bunch of records, make a bunch of money and become a superstar. It's like his music means a whole lot to him, and he wants everything to be just right. He wants it to be done so, and he's like, when it's not good, I just want to forget about it. I want to delete it from my memory and act like it doesn't exist. And sometimes, when I do reaction videos, I'm like, I don't even know if I can upload this anymore, because by the time I'm done, I'm like, oh, I should have said this and I should have done that. So like I get where he's coming from. Like I see it, but it's just so interesting. Like he's not just thinking about his music as a guitarist or as a vocalist. He's thinking about it as a producer. He's thinking about, okay, can we he says they lack imagination. They lack imagination. That's so interesting. There's this rapper called Cannabis. He has a song called Stupid Producers, which is really funny. And so I feel like maybe Jimmy would connect with stupid producers a lot, because they're just not seeing the vision. And it's like, it's kind of disappointing, because Jimi Hendrix managed, or whoever was like working with him, they managed to find these excellent drummers in Mitch Mitchell and Buddy Miles. And are there other people that I've missed? Probably. I only know so much. But like they managed to find these excellent drummers, and I believe Steve Winwood was another one. Just all these wonderful people to be a part of these bands, and they contributed so much to the work. So you have an all-star band, and then you have a stupid producer, and they control the final product. So I can understand why that's frustrating, because you put your all in it and then it's a flat sound, versus, as he describes it, something that goes underneath you, goes through you. And I don't know if like he was satisfied with 1983, but 1983 is a work of art. And I think now one of the things I think, we're going to do moving forward with, as we listen to like Access Bold as Love and some of these other things, is to kind of think about the depth of the sound that Jimmy was trying to communicate, and to kind of understand and try to appreciate the fact that the producers may not have done justice to his work. So we have to also be imaginative with how we receive the music. And so that's amazing insight to have, like, for example, like if I told you like, oh yeah, when I was recording this, my voice was really like this, but like for whatever reason, the voice made my voice like this. Maybe you can then start thinking about, oh, I know she was trying to go for a deeper sound, so let me think about it that way, versus thinking about it this way. So yeah, let's keep on going. Just like excellent insight here.
Yeah, it's not necessarily getting any better, but like you might move to different things,
Do you feel the groups are free to change as they want to?
No, half of them aren't. They're all thinking about their career and thinking about their future so much. I really don't give a damn about my future or career. I just want to make sure I can get out what I want,
Yeah.
That's why I say we're very lucky, because we didn't have, all of us didn't have that, say, oh, well, it'd be great if we did make it nice.
Yeah.
But I really wouldn't care, as long as we could be happy with what we're doing, like recording and stuff like that, or do what we want to do. We're still, we're not really doing what we want. But that's,
Yeah.
completely.
Yeah. What about a new LP? Have you been thinking about this?
Yeah. Well, I wanted to make it a double LP, which would be almost impossible, and have about.
Because of the cost, you mean?
Well, yeah, it's a big hassle. Nobody doesn't want to do that. The record producers and the companies don't want to do that. I'm willing to spend every single penny on it if I thought it was good enough. But there you go, I do that, and then they leave me out there.
What about the length of the songs, too? I mean, would
Well,
you like them to be much longer?
It depends what kind of song it is. If it's a song with about 3 or 4 movements, well, yeah, like there's one song I wrote named Eyes and Imagination. That's the name of it. and it's about 14 minutes long. But it's telling about every sentence or every 2 sentences tell a completely different story. It's nothing but imagination. It starts off with this baby crying, you know, a brand new baby has been born, and then you hear these bullets, you know, in the background. You know, it's nothing but this imagination. And every sentence tells a different story, and but it goes in about 4 major movements, but it always goes back to this one little thing. You must have that one little thing through it, you know, that one little. But I don't even know if there's so many songs I wrote that we haven't even done yet that we'll probably never do. It's because
Why?
you know, there's a lot of things around here that's really bad. So,
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah.
you know, we must be Elvis Presleys and rock and rolls and trogs. We must be that.
Yeah, that's where it's at, isn't it?
And there'll be no smoking in the gas chamber. I see.
Wow. Do you think people will be doing longer numbers? Will be trying to?
Well, like if they have
sort of
something,
moving towards maybe even symphonies.
yeah, I think they should if they have something to offer. Really, if the number really has to be long, they said, "Well, I got this number, but I just can't get it together unless I just need more time on it." Well, then they really should. They should never hold, time like that because of a number. You know the song that we had named Purple Haze?
Yeah.
That was about, it had about 1,000 words. This got me so mad because that isn't even Purple Haze, you know?
Well, what do you need?
I don't know, man. I'm just a frustrated old hen, that's all. That's what I feel like.
Oh, that's upsetting.
You should have heard it, man. I had it written out. It was about going through all this land, you know, this mythical. Because that's what I like to do is write a lot of mythical scenes. You know, like the history of the wars on Neptune and all this mess, you know. And the reason why the rings are there, you know. You have all these, see like how they got the Greek gods and all that mythology. Well, you can have your own mythology scene. Or write, fiction. Complete fiction, though, you know. I mean, anybody could say, well, I was walking down the street and I seen an elephant floating through the sky. Well, it has no meaning at all, you know. There's nothing to imagine except this is an elephant there, you know. And if you don't watch out, you might break your neck.
Do you think you'll be able to make more demands as you continue?
Yeah. This whole thing's going to blow wide open soon.
This is probably my favorite part. I'm not sure.
So I just want to comment on like some of the last things that he just said there. No, not anybody can say I was walking through the street and saw an elephant float. Like that's not common imagination. That's you creating something on the spot, like literally freestyling an idea that I've never heard in another song before. That's amazing. I feel like now that I've listened to Are You Experienced, Purple Haze being the first track on that album, the fact that he wanted it to be more and to be longer is interesting. I remember like I made a comment during that reaction saying like, which song was it? I can't remember, but there's a song on it that's like 6 minutes or something. And I was like, oh, like this feels like a lot more, what's it called? I think it might have been Third Stone from the Sun. That was like 6 minutes or something. And I was like, this seems like more true to the kind of music that he wants to make. And I think that he just said that just now. Like, I wanted Purple Haze to be longer. And like what you hear is not Purple Haze. Then what's Purple Haze? Like, why is it that like, oh my gosh, like sometimes these companies or these like people who are managing the works of these artists like stop so much of their vision, like just because they're putting profits first and not allowing the musician to do their art because they don't really know what we want from the artist. We want so much more and they give us so little sometimes, or decide that we don't want it. Like they did that with Bob Dylan. Like I think he got rejected by somebody at some point saying, well, people don't want to hear this or whatever. Like, who are you to decide what we want to hear? We make the decision. Gosh, I get how upset he was. Like I feel it. I'm upset. I heard this last part before, but I want to hear it again. It was about the deer and the sleep paralysis or something. Yeah.
For how we got into talking about this, the original interview was lost except for these sections you're now hearing. And fortunately, these are the best sections. Anyway, at this point, Hendrix is so animated, he gets up and starts pacing about the room.
Mm.
And I should mention this was done with a single handheld microphone. There's certain advantage to this. You have to sit alongside the person so you can swing the mic back and forth, from your questions to their answers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sort of rubbing shoulders with a person, and it enables you to touch the person. And I don't mean necessarily physically touching, their arm or their hand or something.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean mentally touch the person, sort of sync your mind with their mental state. You have to feel the person, and they need to feel you. See, you're okay. And it establishes a trust. And as I've said, Hendrix's presence was so strong, and the energy in the room was so hot at this point, that I was high for a week after doing this interview.
Mm-hmm.
One last thought. I realized that if I approached Hendrix as the pop star, he would have been forced to reply as the pop star. And that's what this interview would have been, the pop star talking about his records. But I wanted to talk with Hendrix the person, the artist, and he replied as that, and that's what we get in this section. I think it's a rare and kind of a beautiful view of Hendrix as he talks about his childhood memories and his dreams.
Can you remember when you was a little...
I do want to say that, I wonder if, Jimmy were to be asked, which interview was his favorite, if he would say this one. I mean, I haven't seen all of them, but, I feel like the fact that his approach to this interview seems to, match Jimmy as a person so much that, it's we're getting to see Jimmy for Jimmy versus, as he said, the pop star. And I'm just, really grateful that he did this.
Of Hendrix as he talks about his childhood memories and his dreams.
Can you remember when you was a little baby? I think your memory comes through.
About the age of 2.5.
Yeah.
But it came back like a dream.
Yeah, there you go. When you think about it now, it's just blank before that, then you think of that. Well, I think that's where you come about on some other scenes too, Because human beings die too easily, it's first thing.
What about the animal? You said the animal.
Like you might see an animal or something like that, and all of a sudden you might have a very funny feeling go through you for a second.
Do you mean looking into his eyes, or not necessarily, or just the animal itself?
Yeah, one time I seen this deer, and because I see a lot of deers around where I used to be from.
Mm.
I said, wait, something went through me for once. I'd seen him before. I mean, I had some real close connections with that deer for one split second, and then it just went away like that, That happens, a lot of friends of mine told me about that happened to them, Have you ever laid in bed and you was in this complete state where you couldn't move or nothing like that, but you're like that, and you feel like you're going deeper and deeper into something, not sleep, but it's something else.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy how many different ideas he's going through at once. He must have been really pumped for this interview because he's talking about humans dying too easily, deers, and now the sleep stuff. He's kind of going through it really, really fast. How does his mind work where that's concerned? He's kind of just,
Exactly.
And every time I go into that, then I say, oh hell, I'm scared as hell. You get all scared and stuff. So you try to say, help, help. You can't move, you can't scream. You say, help, help. You finally get out of it, because you just can't move. It's a very funny feeling. But one time I was going to try it. One time that feeling was coming through me. I said, oh, here we go. This time I'm going to see if I'm going to let it happen, see where I go to, or see what happens,
Mm-hmm.
So it was really getting really scary, man. I was going like that, I said, I'm not even asleep, So this is really strange. And somebody knocked on the door, I said, oh. Because I wanted to find out.
Can you remember something really far back when you
Yeah, I can remember when the nurse put the dice. I remember
Yeah, I feel also that's one of the things that made me initially think that this wasn't necessarily sleep paralysis, because he said I wasn't even asleep, but this was happening. So it seemed like something else was happening, though I don't know what that is.
Something's really far back when you
Yeah, I can remember when the nurse put the dice. I remember when
Can you really?
Yeah, when the nurse. I don't know what I was there for, but I remember when I used to wear diapers. And then she was talking to me. She took me out of this crib or something like that. And then she held me up to the window. This was in Seattle. And she was showing me something up against the sky. And there was fireworks and all that. It must have been the 4th of July, And I remember her putting the diaper on me and almost sticking it, I was asleep, and then she put that. I remember I didn't feel so good, I must have been in the hospital sick about something. And I had a bottle and all that kind of stuff. And then she held me up to the window. She's saying something about it.
almost
And I was looking in the sky, was this.
almost an acid thing going on.
Wow, that's right. That's what it was because only beforehand, my first trip there. And next trip, being high off the penicillin, she probably did.
Can you remember any others?
Well, I was small enough to fit in the clothes basket. I remember when I was small enough to fit in the clothes basket. You know the straw clothes baskets they have in America?
Yeah.
You put all the dirty clothes in. And there's only about like that.
They call them hampers or something.
Yeah, hampers.
Yeah.
I remember my cousin and I was in there playing around.
Oh, yeah.
But that must have been when I was about 3 or something like that. And like sometimes when you're sitting around, then you start remembering some of the things that happened beforehand. Those are the first two that comes to my mind. And some dreams that I had when I was real little, Like my mother was being carried away on this camel. And it was a big caravan. And she's saying, well, I'm going to see you now. And she's going under these trees. You can see the shade, the leaf patterns across her face. But she's going under this, like that. And the sun, how the sun shines through a tree. And if you go under the shadows of the tree, the shadows go across your face. Well, these were in green and yellow shadows. Like, she's saying, well, I won't be seeing you too much anymore, so I'll see. And then about 2 years after that, she died, And I said, yeah, but where you going though, like that? I remember that. I always really remember that one. I never did forget. There's some dreams you never forget.
Yeah.
Like one time there's this one dream you go down like that, this real big hill, but it has real long grass, and then there's a whole lot of bananas on the floor, of this hill, but they're all spread all over, and they're growing from the ground by each one separate. And I remember that, and then we was skating across that. I don't know how we were, but what you do is you pour this stuff out that we made up. It's big bags. You pour it out across the bananas, and it fills up all the gaps, and then you skate across it. I remember those things.
You must have been dreaming in color when you were very young.
Oh, definitely. I don't remember too many. The closest to a black and white dream I ever had was in pastel shades.
Yeah.
One time I was in pastel shades, like it was maroon and dark, and then very light maroon, and then this big gold cliff out of the middle of nowhere. That was great. That was the closest I ever got to black and white.
This final section is only a few words about.
I just want to say about his dreams, like he seems like he has really like vivid dreams. Like he's saying that was great. Like he can remember the feelings and the emotions, like feelings and emotions. The sensations and the emotions he experienced during his dreams. That's really interesting. Really interesting indeed. And maybe one day I'll tell you about the dream I had that I can't forget. But today is not that day.
The white dream I ever had was in pastel shades,
Yeah.
One time I was in pastel shades, like it was maroon and dark, and then very light maroon, and then this big gold cliff out of the middle of nowhere. That was great. And that was the closest I ever got to black and white.
This final section is only a few words about reincarnation and death.
People really believe that every single person that's born here is completely different. I mean that's true, but through the times, can you imagine all these? Well, what if we all supposed to go to heaven? All that? Can you imagine all these people who died beforehand? And all of us, all of in heaven, all of on top of each other. Hey man, move over, man. I don't have the rule up here. It's like, hell, you had no business dying, did you? So, oh God. So can you imagine that? Wow.
This has been an interview with Jimi Hendrix. Your guide has been Meatball Fulton. This is.
Maybe one day we'll also talk about reincarnation and our thoughts on that. Maybe we'll do a study on reincarnation. I don't know. So interesting. Because I have a lot to say about reincarnation and like life after death and all these different things. Because to me, it's an interesting topic to talk about. But yeah. Well, we've watched the full thing. If you want to see my initial reaction, there is the first part where I only saw part 1 and 3. So that might color in everything that I think about this. But a really wonderful interview. I think there's a lot more to get into. I see one there that says June 1969. I don't know what that is, but we could watch that too. And keep on going with these Jimi Hendrix interviews. I think it adds a lot of layers to who Jimi is and his personality when it's not just, the music and everything. Yeah. So, a lot more Jimi stuff coming. We have Access Bold as Love to listen to next. So I hope you stick with me for this journey. And yeah, I will see you in the next one. Peace.